On December 4th, the full moon will be taking place at 13 degrees Gemini. And this full moon is a little more influential than other full moons because of the fact that it is squaring the lunar nodes. So it's activating the nodal axis with the north node in Pisces and the south node in Virgo, which means it's acting as a focal point between the past and the future. Now, Gemini in particular is all about our minds. It's how we think and how we process and order the world in a logical way. So Gemini seeks facts and information so it can form a greater understanding of its belief system. Now, anytime there's a full moon, the sun is always in opposition to the moon. So the sun is at 13 degrees Sagittarius, creating this tension between logic and intuition. Sagittarius is the archer, and it seeks to point its bow, its arrow, toward the truth. Now, what is truth? How can any of us know what truth is? To Sagittarius, truth is beyond subjective understanding of life. It's something greater than that. It's a holistic approach to a worldview, not just my view, not just your view, but all of our view. How do we bring everyone's viewpoint together to create a higher truth, an understanding of life? So with the moon in Gemini and the sun in Sagittarius, we know that we're dealing with the mind and how the mind seeks truth and forms its own belief system. Now, the moon and the sun will both be squaring the north node, which is at 13 degrees Pisces, and the south node at 13 degrees Virgo. The south node always represents what we are moving away from. So collectively, we are moving away from over-analysis of how we think about things, how we feel about things. We're moving away from a need to have perfection in our lives. We're moving away from victimhood, martyrdom, and we're moving towards the higher Pisces ideal. The north node represents where we are collectively going, what we are needing to understand from a higher level. Pisces at its highest expression can be the most compassionate, unconditionally loving energy. It's accepting, and it allows for boundaries to dissolve. So it really doesn't want to be in the mind, overly analyzing and assessing everything. It wants to free us from that. So how do we free ourselves from over analyzing, judging, getting caught up in the minutia of thought? Well, first of all, we have to understand what thought even is. Our entire lives are dependent on how we think. Our thoughts lead to our feelings lead to action, and our actions lead to the results we get in life. Our actions are what create outcomes. So if our thoughts are creating feelings that don't feel good, that are stuck in trauma, that really don't serve us, that are self-sabotaging, we really can be blind to the fact that we are setting ourselves up for failure over and over again. So this energy, this full moon is asking us to really start to question our own thinking, our own thought processes. If we are thinking negative thoughts all of the time, we are using more energy than we would if we were thinking positively. And the more that we think about something, the more dominant that thought becomes, because neural pathways in our brain are strengthening around that thought. We are literally changing our brain according to what we think. So this is a time to really understand why we think the thoughts that we do, and how can we change them to get a better outcome, a better result in our life. If we're thinking like we're not good enough, we're obviously going to feel like we're not good enough. And that feeling will create frustration, worry, depression, anxiety. It will stop us from doing what we need to do to feel good enough. And what do? We set ourselves up for failure because we don't actually do what we need to do because we don't think we're good enough. So how would we change that thought to I am good enough? Well, first of all, if we don't feel good enough, how can we think we're good enough? And that's the key here. This energy is allowing us to dissolve the boundaries in how we feel, so we can actually connect with something higher, connect with a feeling maybe we're not familiar with. We have to feel, what does it feel like to feel good enough? Does that bring joy? Does that bring fulfillment? Does that bring happiness? Does that bring freedom? So feeling those energies within ourselves before we actually think it will help us change our minds so we can believe that we're good enough. Our brain doesn't know the difference between reality and fantasy. So in a way, we're reteaching, we're reprogramming the neural pathways in our brains. Right now is the most powerful time to be able to do this. So another thing that we have to consider is Mercury. Mercury just stationed direct on November 29th. It's been retrograde in the sign of Scorpio. It will be at 22 degrees Scorpio at the time of the full moon. It's still in its shadow phase, but it's coming out of that retrograde having gained some kind of clarity around an issue that has been causing us anxiety, fear, self-sabotage, escapism. Something has risen to the surface that we finally mentally processed. Now, this has been going on behind the scenes. We might not have been telling people about this. We've been, feeling very internal as we go through this awakening to this something that Mercury has brought out of the depths in this scorpionic, hidden, deep place. So whatever has come out of the darkness and risen to the surface of our awareness is ready to be integrated. This is probably related to a deep fear and insecurity we've been carrying our entire lives. And during this full moon, Mercury is saying to us, how can I change this fear through my thoughts? How can I reorient my mind so that I am no longer stuck, trapped, imprisoned by this fear or this insecurity or this deep, traumatized way of relating to myself? We all know what this is. So it's ready to fully rise to the surface of our consciousness so that not that we completely release it or rid it of ourselves, but so that we transmute it, we change it, to something that empowers us. Now, let's consider that the North Node in Pisces really asks for us to have compassion, not just for others, but for ourselves. So if we compassionately embrace ourselves, fears and all, insecurities and all, and realize we're only human, we're not perfect, we're never going to be perfect. That's an ideal that's unattainable. And we accept whatever this is that Mercury is showing us. We move forward in a way that is empowered. We free ourselves from the imprisonment of what this has been for us up until now. So we might be feeling just so much excess mental chatter, almost as though we're just stuck in our minds and we can't stop our racing thoughts as we go through this full moon. So just know that this is part of the process. And remember to stop and ask yourself if what you're thinking is true. Is it based in reality? And is it serving you? Now, if we really take the time to question what we're thinking, and we learn to change it by changing how we feel, we will be able to move toward the dream we've been dreaming, the ideal we've kind of been developing in our mind of what we truly want. And it will be attainable in 2026. We just have to get over this hurdle of changing how we think. Because when we change how we think, we change how we feel. Changing how we feel is everything, because it will change our actions and how we show up in life. It will change our worldview, how we view ourselves, how we view others, how we process life in general, and how we take action. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you guys have a wonderful week ahead. Thanks. Bye.